People's Climate Ireland, yes, it's all about climate. It's a big movement happening around the world, and it's very much on our doorstep today. So why are we doing this? Basically, Laurent is with us. So Laurent was in as part of People's Climate Ireland before I came on board. It was a call out from Avas calling on people who want to volunteer in the climate space to make a difference. So COP21 is happening in Paris at the end of the year. All the governments in the world are getting together to talk about climate matters and what's going to happen and the future of climate legislation in this planet, let's put it this way. So it's French. The French are hosting it. There's French values at stake here. Liberté, the liberty to actually get up in the morning. Is my house going to be flooded? Is it going to be sewage in my garden, in my bedroom? The equality, if you're in Africa or if you're in Ireland, what is the situation going on here? And then the fraternity element, it's a global responsibility. It's not just Deirdre taking the bus to Dublin every day. It's everybody has to make their steps on this front. And there's a lot of NGOs in this space talking about climate justice, global justice. But it's for us to think about it, really. So who am I? I'm very much from Newbridge, one of 6 kids, grew up in the country. I love my coffee, I'm very much about give me a coffee and I'll come and help you kind of thing. So the People's Climate Picnic, I've got a host of international friends involved in this arena, so bring us all around and share our views. I love this picture, so it's intergenerational. This gentleman brought his Christmas tree with his banner to our event. Holly's our creative type, this guy's Echo Eye. Michael Mann was in Trinity recently talking about the issues here, and this is his strategy. If you're walking, stop walking. What's going on about carbon? What can we actually do about this today? So some of my historical interests are in banking. So I am a banker, I'm a commodity banker. So I went to school in Ireland, studied language college in France, did my summer in Germany living in a tent. Yes, I worked for McDonald's, and yes, I became aware of seasons because at the end of the winter, of the autumn, the apples started falling on top of my tent. It's like, my God, what am I going to do now? So then I went to college in France, and it was business college, so you went in business school and you did actual work, marketing work every day, commerce every day. So I'm very much French in my head. Like, we can do this, we can resolve this, let's make this happen. So, for example, when the divestment day came up on Valentine's Day, it was like, wait a minute, it's International Petroleum Week. You guys have to mark this in some way. So it's tapping into all our interests. All these guys I've worked with before in the corporate space, in the oil industry, energy industry. And what can I bring to the party now that can actually help other people and inspire other people on climate matters? So BP, for example, are sponsors of big events all over, cultural events. We've got cultural sponsors in this country too. Are you really supporting these industries? Think about your euro and climate and exactly what you can change in this space. So another one of my great interests is our wine. I love my French wine. Vineyards are going to be underwater soon. Vineyards are completely at threat. My friend's garden looks out in this vineyard. It's destroyed. Not for the first time, but for the second time in 5 years. So this isn't something happening in Africa. This is my favorite wine. I can't drink it anymore, nor can the people live in the area, so the tourists don't bother coming there. It's just not very pleasant to be in the area, to be dependent on agriculture or agro-tourism in that region either. So look at the apples. These are one of the most famous apples in France. Destroyed. They don't even bother picking them up. This is the hails, erratic rain, erratic hails are causing these kind of damages to crops. Everybody loves cider. This is the situation we can be facing over here as well. Every single apple was destroyed. So the poor farmer, you grow trees, you try to make a difference, and this is what you end up with. So I'm not going to lecture you about drought in Africa and floods and all the rest of it. This is something I eat and I enjoy, and I can't anymore. So these are kind of things that make me tick. Saving the gingers, saving, lost species, endangered species is very important for us as well. So these wonderful people came to our event, and So personally, how I really got to make a pledge in this space is when I met UN Ambassador Amina Mohammed. She came to Dublin recently, and I made a pledge that I would do a difference. So she is from Nigeria. She knows all the problems in the space. She works with Ban Ki-moon on sustainability and climate matters with the UN. And these guys are in our space in Dublin. So woman to woman, we discussed exactly how climate matters here. How I've been active in this space, and one of my pet creative projects is like, okay guys, we're doing it in Ireland already. It's a green day, it's the 17th of March, you wear a shamrock. This year make a pledge on your shamrock to do something green. We've got our politicians flying all over the world racking up their carbon taxes on their expenses. So I've done this before for the last couple of years in England. And anywhere I've travelled around St. Patrick's Day, so I volunteer in various spaces. So Create is a creative space to do its sustainability post the Olympics. So it's like, yes, let's do something fantastic. Let's do it for the community. So digging gardens, helping these people. So the lower lady is the health and safety lady going, what is this? Why have you taken this thing into our premises? It's like, well, no, it's a living green thing with roots, Irish roots. So I want us to think about the shamrock and how exactly we can green up the planet through one action on one day. So just bear that in mind. So facts, there could be scientists in the room, so I'm not going to dwell on this one. So exactly how big is the situation, what kind of panic is out there? So the governments have been coming together on climate matters since the 90s, and guess what? The emissions have gone up 61% since the original meetings. So we did get you some facts. So tobacco, for example, 97% proof that tobacco is actually causing lung cancer. It's the same with climate matters. Scientists, 97% of scientists actually agreeing. 97% of us in the room didn't even agree what a bicycle is. So if you get 97% of economists agreeing on a situation, that's a different equation altogether. So this is the famous hockey stick example. So what are we doing on fossil fuel emissions? What are the humans doing in this space? This is our chart. This is actual facts. We can't hide anymore. This is the scenario. So the meetings that go around every year for the last 20 years of talk, that's the emissions I just mentioned. So these are more facts. What exactly do we need to get to? Where are we going together on this process? Some more facts for you. This is really interesting. They actually animated a polar bear. So, Michael Mann said you can't have a presentation. One of the legal issues is you have to show a polar bear. So they actually animated a whole polar bear and had him walking around the tubes in London and different places. And it's like, wow, the polar bears have to live somewhere. Where are they going to live? I asked my niece about this. So I was saying, the polar bear. She went, what's going to happen to the penguins? I was like, good question. So what are happening to the species? What's going to happen to us? Look at the people in Greenland that can't earn their living anymore because the sea levels, because there's no fish, because there's lots of facts that we have to really address climate matters. Some more facts for you. The planet is warming. Grow global agriculture. There is changes abide. So, for example, 70% of African women actually do all the agricultural work. So you've seen all those pictures with people trekking to the wells to get water to bring it home. So if you see a little kid, if you try and carry that water cup down to the end of the corridor, you might spill some. But if you have to take that home to grow your crops, to feed your children that night. So men are more mobile. They don't have a child on their back. So the men tend to move to the cities. And then in the cities, there's conflict. They don't have jobs. They don't have money. What's going to happen on that front? So climate is causing a huge urban shift. So you can't live in the fields anymore. They're barren. I'm going to have to move to the city. So there's all kinds of issues being coming on board about climate dwelling now. So clearly the energy costs involved. You have to make more buildings, more transport. So it's all ratcheting up the carbon in the air and the emissions. So one aspect of this is also the credit. So if you can't grow crops, you don't have money, so you can't send your kids to school. So as a community, if you can't have crops, then you can't get money to buy the generator to grind the coffee, to get the freezer, to send your kids to college. So then it's a vicious cycle, and it all goes down again. So climate comes into bearing in all these scenarios. So facts, look at Ireland. Agriculture. Of course, we're a rural country. I was at a Chinese event on Chinese New Year last week, and the Chinese were there, and they were grilling us, what are you doing about climate matters and food security? And the answer was, we have grass. You can't manufacture grass. Yes, we have grass. What are we doing about it? So 6% of emissions come from ruminating animals. Okay, What are we doing about that? What other crops can we look at? The fodder, we're importing fodder into our country. So that's just part of the equation at home, climate emissions in Ireland, and it's growing the whole time. This isn't shrinking, guys. So energy bills, transport bills. I came across the fact the other day, there's more than 78% of people don't pay their fares in Ireland on the rails. So it's like, huh? OAP is fantastic, you've paid into the system all along, take your free transport. But other people abuse the system and we end up paying for it. So then it gets expensive to get to work, So work on our emissions, work on the costs. Factor these things into the equation when you're building transport solutions, energy solutions. So we're going to go for more facts. So it's like, no, this speaks volumes. These are floodings in our town today. I mean, if you go to Galway, you see the flooding. You take a train to Galway, you see the flooded fields, you see the peat milled fields. It's 50 shades of grey, 40 shades of green. We're not seeing that anymore, guys. It's like muck out there in puddles. This is what we think about. So, hey, it's getting warmer in Ireland. This is fantastic. So a bit of history, where have we come from? Avas is a people's movement, so you probably get the emails calling on petitions, you do want to do this action, etc. Fantastic. They started 5 years ago. They've now got 40 million followers, so 40 million people who are actually thinking about taking an action. So 350 came on board as well. So they organised 400,000 people, just people, to walk about climate matters. And this is where we got involved. So People Climate Ireland were rallied from a call from Avas to actually come on board and make something happen for climate. So we were launched in June, and in September we had 1,000 people in St. Stephen's Green. So Eamon here helped us get the keys to the park. We had brilliant musicians like Lauren here and artists and yarn bombers that came along because we're all concerned, we're all interconnected. It was a brilliant day and the sun shone for us, so fantastic. So we have senior ambassadors in the world from our country going overseas saying this can happen, this is happening, what can we do? We have to echo their voices and make it happen at home as well. So do we do it creatively? How can we actually make this happen? So we have elders in our community who've been following this track for a long time. We know the story. We have footballers getting on board. We have local people getting on board, community groups. So our picnic was intergenerational. We were covered a little bit in the Times and a little bit in some documents. Wind power and the children, that's the future. We're stuffed, guys. What is our legacy? It's all about these guys now. So do the math. So all this carbon is in the air now. So what's going to happen? What are the costs? What are the pollution costs? What are the costs to our health and our wealth? So again, if you're farming and you can't farm anymore, that's going to cost you. So if you can't get the garments to produce in your factory, that's going to cost you too. So it's very much about social responsibility within climate and the dollar and your dollar ethical spend. So the good news is that they've done a lot of research recently about how to actually spend your money, and those that actually make the effort and tidy up their supply chain, they actually get the best revenues. What's happening in Ireland on this one? Well, we've got a great legacy of fantastic people out there who put their necks on the line. So the Dunnes Stores workers at that time, they decided enough is enough. We're not going to support apartheid. We're not going to invest in South Africa products and when they're not being fair. So we're going to divest. We're not going to spend our money there. So this is divestment. Let's reinvest in something that resonates with us. So we've got a lot of other people on board that are pushing the divest message. Why would you spend money on big petroleum companies and utilities that are not giving you renewable energy? Let's make a difference today with your own wage, your own money, your own bank, your own insurance company. So the maths are there. It can work. We've seen it working. Look at your PSO levy in this country. Just say, guys, don't spend it on the turf industry. Just spend it on renewables. Give us jobs, green jobs, clean tech jobs. It'll clean up the atmosphere. We'll be healthier. It all makes sense. It's a win-win-win for everyone, except the fossil fuel industry. And look at their prices. They're already in the toilets. So do you want your money to be in something in the toilet, or would you rather good jobs out there? Think about it. So lots of people on board, medical staff are on board, they see the health atrocities in front of them every day, and the depression because people aren't working. These are a lot of things in the equation we have to think about. You know, where you're in the doldrums, it resonates in so many ways. So people are making a move. What are we doing in Ireland? We have to divest ourselves as well. You have to talk to your banks, you have to talk to your insurance, your grandparents, everybody, what's happening on the money front. So it's happening across the globe. Students across the globe are doing this. Companies are getting together. Unions are getting together. So we really want to call on your voice and make this happen as well. So it's boring looking at electricity bills and things. So think about, well, what can we do about this? So that the people in Leitrim made it really interesting. Instead of going anti-fracking, it's like, love Leitrim. The two earthquakes caused in the UK in the area that they started fracking in recently, the public relations company that covered it up won an award for covering it up so well. So these are our creative types put to the wrong use. Do you want to be that creative type, or do you want to send a positive win-win message out there? So global divestment has started and it's coming your way, and we're here to very much help you every step of the way to get your money out of pollution and corruption and into a greener future for us today and the planet. So these are some of the actual movements that within the church. The Pope has an encyclica coming out on eco matters. Please go to your local parish. Start this at home. You don't have to start in the Bank of Ireland or the Central Bank, but I am. That's where I'm talking. That's where I'm going this afternoon, in fact. But very much talk to your college. You're an alumni of someplace. Talk to those guys. How can you make it happen? We have green tech industries in Ireland, the social corporate responsibility. Make those guys put their hands in their pocket too. So these are actual students around the globe, voluntary students getting together to make a difference. This is Lauren, and one of our other guys we're collaborating with a lot of Irish groups and a lot of interested people. So this was our day. 14th of February, we got together. It was in the financial IFSC to say, right, you guys have our money, let's make a difference. And we did make it happen in a very short space of time with practically zero money. So it was carbon bubbles. You might see the carbon bubbles. That's a paper plate painted black, no budget. This is what you can actually make happen. Laurent's top there has divest written across it with a hashtag. You can make it that simple. She's so creative. We can make it that interesting for everybody. So just like the polar bear, you can't have a green program in Ireland without the lovely Duncan in there somewhere. So at least he's getting it on the horizon within our media. So what's actually happening in terms of divest? It's happening all over the UK. It's happened in the US for years. It has to happen now, guys. This is all about our climate. How can we spend the money today with interesting projects that will give us interesting jobs? Think of the hemp industry. Fantastic. Let's open people's minds to new industry, clean industry. So what about then? So let's divest from fossil fuels. Let's actually make a plan for green action jobs. Fuel poverty. We imported 7 billion worth of fuel from countries that have, very dubious policies in place. So let's create fuel in this country. So when you're healthy, you can go to work. You can have more money. Your kids can have money. They can go to work. They can go to college. So just think about the whole scenario. And then in terms of your actual buy, in terms of your fashion, do you have to buy all that stuff? So for example, Christmas. I ended up finding these in my pockets. Christmas crackers. We have all this stuff that we don't use that you throw out. Why are we doing this? So the fashion revolution have actually started this as well. So in answer to the Bangladesh, those poor people that died in the factory. So think about helping those guys on the 24th of April. Look at your label. Is this a wool product? Is this biodegradable? Is this some chemical kind of garment? It's another way of becoming involved. And the fashion people are waking up to the supply chain management. Support your local people. Is this good wool? Is this organic fabrics? Organic colours, what's this doing to the environment? Just think about it. We have to think about it ourselves. It's not the government, it's not the UN, it's us. So urbanisation is a huge thing. How can we use microgrids to make a difference with our electricity spend? And our legacies, you have to really think about it. If you look, did you see the Doritos out that time for palm oil? That was amazing. So, Doritos is out there going, yeah, we use palm oil. And then at the end of the video, you go to the forest and you see all the deforestation, degradation. It's like, oh my God, this is what actually happens when you use palm oil, for example. So what happens in other fields as well? This is our legacy. You look at the turf fields out there from Borden and Mona, it's like, oh my God, this is what we're doing to Ireland today. Please make a difference. What is your legacy going to look like? So when your grandkids come up and say, why did you let this happen? I can't go to school today. I can't play my sport. My pitch is flooded. Why did you let this happen? Why didn't you take action? Think about what our legacy is going to look like. So it's a call for all of us to interact in action. We're volunteers. We're doing this all by ourselves. There are paid charities out there. There are governments paid to do this. There are TDs, elected people, to do this. Call on those guys. We've got a climate bill coming through at the moment. Call on those guys to actually make a difference. So the government are shoving our Irish bill down the line. It doesn't make a difference. I learned the other day that on Fridays they go home. They don't even bother turning up, a lot of them. And a lot of them, the local TD is the local publican and the local landlord and the local architect, etc. They've got their own vested interests. Put your interests on board. Vote on somebody who will make a difference. So there's a lot of policy bills out there. How can we legally make it happen? So the PSO levy, every bill in this country has a PSO levy on it. So as a banker, I used to come over. I was in commodities, electricity and power and carbon, and I come and talk to Irish utilities and say, right, okay, you can make a difference. We can make it cheaper. We can make it transparent. We can make it more organised. And they went, don't worry. They're paying the money anyhow. Why would we bother? And that broke my heart. It really broke my heart that we're such sheep. It's the year of the sheep. Do we want to stay sheeps in this country? Sheep, even. I'm from the Cur, I should know that's one sheep. What are we actually going to do about it? So we were really good on the tobacco ban in Ireland, pioneers on that front, the plastic bag levy in this country. We can make a difference, and we are making a difference. We can do it through a legislation and a people's movement at the same time. So think about how we can help our policymakers make a difference. So coming to the end now, but on the corporate speak. So any corporate that you're dealing with or working within, think about your big industries that you're actually working in as creative people, etc. So what motivates you? You know, how do you make the bucks? How can we make this actually interesting for people within your own organization? And even, let's say, the cafe you go to for coffee, is it fair trade? Is it direct trade? This is an interesting business model. It doesn't pay to be a May Fein anymore, an acute whore taking the money and not actually delivering the goods. So just think about the rewards of being a good citizen. Yes, there are the trees. You can't have a climate event and not feature a tree. So I have a little forest down the country and I've got a tiny art gallery in it. So I welcome any submissions for my little art gallery in time. It's tiny, really tiny. But one of our yarn bombers made this message. So yes, we are tree huggers. It's good. It's all about the trees are going to be here a lot longer than we are. So yes, it's about the trees too. So next steps, please join us. Come like our People's Climate page, see what we're doing. We share a lot of information about what's happening in environmental space in Ireland. So together we can creatively rally ourselves and make a difference, rally our governments, rally our neighbours, our schools, our churches. We can do it. We have the power to do it. What's stopping us? You know, we have to wake up from this economic hangover and this moral hangover, and for some of us possibly a hangover, and actually get active and do something. So please, the Shamrock Spring, that's the first thing on our agenda. It's next month. Make your own shamrock. Send us in a picture of your shamrock and the pledge that you have made to go green. It can be from old green wool, uniforms, anything you want, but this has to be something. The whole country goes green and buildings go green. Let's make it about the eco-earth. Let's green up the earth on this front. So keep looking at our website and for ideas and what we're doing. We share all concepts. There's a carbon fast on for Lent at the moment. So the churches are making a difference. The Green Flag School initiatives are making a difference. So it is happening. So join our petitions. Every so often we have a petition against particular people to say, right, we want you to actually go and make a difference. So please, please come on board. And this is Lauren's message to everyone in the room. Don't stay calm. Why would you stay calm? We don't have many years left on this issue. So this is us. This is one of our founding members. It's all about the future, guys. So share your thoughts. Come join us at the moment, and let's meet afterwards for coffee to see what's happening. And thank you very much for your drawings. Really appreciate that.